Ever been stuck in traffic? Someone cuts you off and you lose your temper? A level of anger that surprises even you? Where does that sudden, intense reaction actually come from? In the early 20th century, Sigmund Freud offered an explanation that changed the trajectory of psychology. Freud suggested that humans are not strictly rational. Instead, he argued that our daily choices, our fears, and our sudden bursts of anger are driven by invisible forces deep within us, forces we are unaware of. Accepting that our own logic has limits opened a new chapter in self-awareness, shifting our focus from what we do to the unseen reasons why we do it. To explain this, Freud pictured the mind as a multi-level house. The top floor is your conscious mind, the bright living room where your daily logical thinking happens. Beneath the floorboards lies the unconscious mind. This is a locked, pitch-black basement. Whenever we experience something we refuse to deal with, an unmet desire, a painful childhood memory, or a deep fear, we pack it into a box and shove it down into this dark space. These boxes are not inert. Over time, the pressure from these hidden memories begins to seep through the floorboards, causing the sudden anxiety or anger you feel up in the living room. Under this model, the root of human psychological suffering is found right here, inside these hidden boxes in the dark. Freud mapped out the conflicting forces inside this house. On one side is the id, a primal drive demanding immediate pleasure. On the other is the superego, a strict inner voice demanding moral perfection. Stuck between them is the ego, a middle manager negotiating a compromise between primal urges, strict morals, and reality. To relieve this pressure, Freud developed psychoanalysis. Using tools like dream interpretation, he essentially took a flashlight down into the dark basement of the mind. The goal was to drag those hidden boxes out of the shadows. By forcing the conscious mind to look at these repressed memories, the internal conflict could finally be processed and understood. For Freud, the path to healing followed a specific equation. Bring the hidden pain into the light, and you find relief. However, a different perspective, known as the AP framework, challenges Freud's foundational assumption about where the problem actually lies. It suggests that the house, the basement, and all those hidden boxes are innocent. In this view, the mind is simply a storage space for memory and intelligence. The traumas and desires sitting in the basement are just raw data. They lack the inherent power to control your behavior. If the mind and its hidden contents are harmless on their own, it means Freud was focused on the symptoms rather than the source. The AP framework shifts the focus to a different entity, a figure living upstairs known as the ego or ahamkar. Think of it as a hoarder that occupies the entire house. Freud saw the ego as a helpful manager navigating life. The AP framework views this same ego as a parasite that creates the very suffering it claims to manage. The hoarder actively searches the basement for those boxes of trauma and fear. It reaches down and claims them, using your painful history as the building blocks for its own identity. This entity keeps your desires and traumas alive because it needs them to feel real. It creates a cycle of wanting and suffering because, without these boxes to hold on to, the hoarder would have no way to define itself. This explains why the AP framework views Freud's flashlight method as only the beginning of the journey. If you shine a light on your past, the hoarder can look right at those boxes. It can analyze exactly why they are there and talk about them for years, yet still refuse to let them go. Gaining clarity on your past has little impact if the hoarder is left intact, continuing to claim every memory as part of its own I. Freud gave us the tools to look inward and map the layers of our experience, but organizing the basement is only a partial solution. The AP framework suggests that true psychological freedom comes from thinning out the hoarder itself, rather than managing the items it has collected. So the next time a wave of anger or fear strikes, try not to ask what is hiding in your basement. Instead, ask who the I is that is claiming this emotion in the first place.